It is your duty to protect your peace right here, your house. Protect your house every day to avoid allowing that shit in. Because it only can fuck with you if you allow it to. Anger is a choice response. What long shot have you taken that really paid off? The long shot that I took that really paid off for my life was leaving for the Air Force. And I want to say the reason why I consider it a long shot because I had no fucking idea what I was going to do with my life, right? And I'm sure I've shared this fable story a few times or another, but it was a real long shot because of the opportunities coming up in, Hampton Road 757. If you didn't take school seriously, you weren't getting any scholarships, obviously. You weren't, there's not much room for opportunity. I mean, most people from Suffolk, you know what I'm saying, at the time were going to the shipyard or they were going to like work for QVC. And you know what I'm saying? Decent money, you know what I'm saying? Like if you put your, really put your focus and drive into it. And I just wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life. And never really thought about it. I mean, I always got over just being, my parents, you know what I'm saying, living with my parents and whatever they did and, being able for them to provide and all these things. But now 18 is here and what are you gonna do with your life? You know what I'm saying? Like senior year, I remember Miss Williams, you know what I'm saying, and Miss Payton, they were saying to me in the guidance office, I was like, have you applied for colleges yet? And this is like, I don't know, November time frame. It's like, because after we come back from, Christmas break, everything goes by really, really fast. And I, like any other kid that's not driven and not focused, entitled or whatever, was just like, yeah, I'll figure it out. And, I applied to like maybe one or two. I know I applied to Norfolk State. I applied to Liberty and I applied to, I forget the other school, man, but Avery University. Yeah, I applied for Avery University. And I wasn't serious about it. I didn't know how that shit worked, honestly. As far as I know, my life was video games, chasing girls, and watching music videos, trying to steal fashion tips, you know what I'm saying? But like deciding to go to the military, to the Air Force, at 18, not knowing anything about it, it gave me a platform for my life. I wouldn't have the things that I have right now. I wouldn't have been able to provide for my kid the way that I did. I wouldn't be able to have been there for, you know what I'm saying, myself, my family members, friends, and the ways that I did. I wouldn't even have met my best friend, if that's the case, you know what I'm saying. Bird, I wouldn't have met Bird. And of course, Kroom, Ashton, Calvin, Derek, Link, our entire crew from Hurlburt. Can't forget G too. Like all these guys, you know what I'm saying, that I met. I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't gone to the Air Force. And not only that, once I got out the Air Force, it put me in a position to where I can make money without even having any college degree. Decent money too, you know what I'm saying, for a 22-year-old making 60K in a city like Miami that was major, to me at the time. So it was a long shot, and it put me on a platform where I'm making good money. I'm in a city that's always got something going on, and I'm there working with my best friend, you know what I'm saying, like for all these years. And and it was good. You get lost, and you can get lost in a city like that, caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses and you know what I'm saying, materialistic shit. But I want to say, like, even me now living in Jax, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't have been able to do this had I not joined the Air Force when I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, the experience that was obtained from being a part of the Air Force, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing what I had to do. I wanted to quit many, many times. Some things I did quit, and wasn't pretty. Entitlement, just just being fully yourself, feeling like the world owes you something, and I don't want to work for this, and all these things, you know what I'm saying, that one deals with as I'll say a privileged child, if you will. And a lot of those, you know, old habits die hard. But the long shot of joining, you know, my brothers and sisters in arms and into the military, it really put my mind state in a place where I have to be responsible for myself. I had to be responsible, of course, for my kid, you know, providing for her. I had to be responsible for any troops under me. Of course, at work, be responsible for the job and all these things. But that long shot, let's just say, like, I remember this quote, no, not a quote, but this shit that I said when I was working as a dock boy at Hex. It was then Hex, you know, it ended up getting sold out, I think, and JCPenney's bought it, or Macy's bought it up. But at Chesapeake Square Mall, I'm working, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, I'm like, you know what? Because I'm working right now, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working McDonald's from 11 to 7, and, you know, from 11 in the morning to 7 at night, and I'm working Hex from 7 to 11. And I remember saying, so foolishly, looking back at it now, you know what? I can live off of this. This is 18-year-old me talking about he can live off of working as a dock boy for Hex, and then working at McDonald's for the rest of my life. Not to mention, you know, it was my Theo moment on the Cosby Show where, like, you know, I can do this. You know, again, I'm staying with my parents, right? I'm still living with my parents and shit. And then to have those fears, like, what is it going to be like going to the Air Force? What's it going to be this far away from my family? That's why I really say it's like a long shot. It's the first time I've been away from my family unit, my everything I've known. You know what I'm saying? Like the way we talk, the way we did things, the way we do holidays, and going to see my grandma probably every 2 to 3 weeks or something like that, or if ever something came up. And now I'm in a position where I'm not able to see these people that were my support system that I became relied upon, you know, and now I have to create this new support system. And you know what I'm saying? It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me. I was homesick, like really homesick, when I was in the Air Force. And I'm pretty sure those are the beginning steps to my like depression. So played a lot of video games, got into the gym. That's always helpful. And then, you know, of course, there's dating, young dating, you know what I'm saying? And then you realize, you know, what's so crazy about dating is like when you date, especially younger, I mean, it happens even for the older folks too, but your insecurities get highlighted. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about relationships, at least before going to therapy, is you think that your partner is supposed to fix all that shit. Fuck no. Hell no. You know what I'm saying? So it's like projecting that, you know, the voids that I felt that I had of, you know, of say affection and shit onto, you know, young girlfriends and things like that. But the long shot brought about just so much. It brought in so many opportunities for myself. It brought in opportunities for, you know, like some of my closest friends in life. And like I said, we're very grateful for it. I mean, some of us have gone on to become airfield managers. Some of us have gone on to work on trains, you know what I'm saying, outside the military, and now truck drivers and stuff in, you know, in engineering, stuff in information technology. So, you know, if we hadn't taken these, you know, the steps that we did to go to the military when we did, who knows what we'll be. But like I said, long shot that really paid off for me in my life is going down, talking to, like the Air Force recruiter. Scott Cole was his name. I won't forget him. Remember, he's a young cat. He's like staff sergeant and whatnot, man. But he looked after us, those of us that were joining the military. And yeah, it was a long shot, but it really paid off. What three events made the biggest impact on who you are today? Okay, three events that have made me made the biggest impact on who I am today. Number one, becoming a daddy. I say that because I didn't really take anything seriously. And then a part of me feels like I didn't take me being a parent so seriously because I didn't understand the ramifications for a lot of things. But it really forced me to man up, if you will, and provide and make sure that this individual, this little person, has what she needs, going forth, providing financially. You know what I'm saying, and just and giving some face time. But it showed me that you're not a kid anymore, right? And it's also scary as fuck. Like, damn, there's a little person that looks just like you. I mean, from again, depending on which angle that you have, and when you see her and you see me and her mama, you'd be like, yeah, she look like her mama. Yeah, she look like you too. Whatever, she looked like me and her mama. Shit, but. You see, but you know what I'm saying, having her and the moments where you come home and you surprise her, and when she was little, and I never forget not telling her that I was coming to visit one time when I was living. I forget where I was living. I think I was there in Florida or something like that. But I came home, I surprised her, and I brought her some shit from Universal Studios. So yeah, I was still in North Carolina at the time, but I came to visit her, and she cried when she saw me because she hadn't, she missed her daddy, obviously. Those moments is what you live for. And like to have that one person that, no matter what, is going to love you. Very well might get upset with you, maybe pissed off, or, what I'm saying, and shit like that. But your children, they love, what I'm saying, they love you. And obviously, if you're doing the best you can by them, don't get me wrong. We know the difference as kids when you got a parent that actually puts forth, some effort, and the parent that's an overachiever, and the parent that just don't do shit at all. And I said, I'm just grateful that she was brought into me and her mother's life, and it really. Like, for me, I'll speak for me, it really changed the way I saw things, the way I viewed, the way I talked to women, the way what I expect, of myself, of talking to women and shit like that. And like what I want, somebody to talk to my daughter this way and shit like that and all that stuff. But it makes you think. It makes you think, and you still may go on and do the same shit, but it makes you think about it nevertheless. And I don't know. I'm just, I truly am grateful for that moment in my life, understanding that I became a father, and taking on responsibility and creating someone, like having a part in creating someone who brings so much joy to myself and her peers and shit like that. The second event that made me who I am today, my spiritual awakening. Okay, I would say that, yeah, my spiritual awakening, which started through I would say, a horrible fucking experience for expectation in a relationship. I'll say that. I'm not going to say my relationship was horrible. I'm going to say I had horrible expectations, which is on me. In the spiritual awakening, what that did, got that out. What that did for me was allow me to see that I was the only one getting in my own way. People did shit to me because I allowed it. I didn't do things because I didn't put forth effort. You know what I'm saying? Like there were times that I thought the world owed me something. Like I put in all this work, I'm doing all this shit to be the nice guy, the good guy, and all these things, and I ain't getting shit for it. So I learned through my spiritual awakening the concept of conditional love. And I just kept being frustrated at anything and everyone. My insecurities were highlighted. Imposter syndrome kicked in. I would say I was outed, if you will. I was, like the act that I was putting on that I didn't even realize I've been putting on for so long. I was exposed. Yeah. So I was exposed for how I was carrying myself. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really being authentic with myself, let alone anybody else. And I got to see the world for what it is and not what I wanted it to be. I started taking the red pill on life instead of the blue pill. And I love it. You know what I'm saying? I no longer have expectations of people. I no longer feel entitled to anything. And if I can help it, I do my best to manage my ego as much as possible. Guess I'm learning, you know what I'm saying? Every day is a learning lesson of what came about. Seeing shit before and seeing shit now. And I do my best not to project myself onto my peers. Like anything I'm going through, I can handle it to the best of my ability. That doesn't mean that you don't vent to others, because that's helpful, but that's what therapists are for. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I talk with my therapist, and that's been working. You know what I'm saying? It's been working for me. And conversation bodes well. I'm held accountable when I'm on some fuck shit. And I do my best to try to hold myself accountable when I'm not in therapy, or, you know what I'm saying, dealing with friends and stuff like that. I try to cross-reference my behavior in the act, and then try to cross-reference once the act has happened and I'm sitting back like, yo, did I operate at the best in this moment? And you know what I'm saying? So it really was insightful to have a spiritual awakening and be so connected, not realizing how connected I am with God and the universe. So and seeing like you're so protected, like you just remove the concept of worry. It's helped to stay stoic and centered, as you make the best decisions when you're calm. The more let's say anxious you are, the less likely you are to make the best decision. And the spiritual awakening pointed me in a direction of the soul and leaving the ego. You know what I'm saying? Like the ego has a way of haunting us in ways we couldn't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? Like most people, when they think ego, they think you're just arrogant. Now the ego is like, the ego I be speaking on is the ego where you think everything is about you, and it's not. And it's like that because that's how it was when we were kids. When we were kids, anything our parents did, it was about us. So when we, however we engage with our parents is how we engage in the world. So if indeed, my parents, everything was just about me and all that stuff, and it was never explained to me that nothing is really about you. When I get into some shit with my friends, when I get into some shit with somebody at work, I'll make the shit about me. That's just what you know what I'm saying? That's your default mechanism from your brain. But you train your brain a new thing when you recognize that nothing is ever about you. And you switch off the ego when it gets too full of itself. So that is, I'll say that's the second event that made me who I am today. And then I'll say the third. The third is when I decided that I was going to do a podcast and eventually a YouTube and, you know, all the other things that come from it, because it allowed me to bring all of those events that I just mentioned all in one. I mean, I don't know how many times I've talked about, you know, being a dad and on here, and then just talking about the spirit, again, my spiritual awakenings and the information that comes up, and how I, again, just the joy that I get from expressing oneself to the world, if you will, you know what I'm saying? Whoever watches, everybody gets the same performance, whether it's 1 or 1 million. And because that effort of just me being as authentic as I possibly can, while being recorded. And I want to share the stories in hopes that it helps somebody else see it, catch it sooner than I did, if you will. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the beauty of books. And like, somebody went through something and saving you time by writing a book on what to avoid going forth, or what to focus on rather than avoid. And I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole setup, and it's gonna pay. I mean, it's paying off right now. You know what I mean? From a financial standpoint, all that shit will come later. Right now, it's just focusing on like the quality, but creating the show, creating the podcast. And you know, I started it. It was me, Karoom Bay, Suge, Joe. You know, I'll say Philly and Evan, and you know, and eventually Troy. Trouble T Roy, Grimo, you know, all of us just wanting to do shows, talk about things that was on our mind, whether it's politics, whether it's relationships, whether it's spirituality, religion, shit that's fun, pop culture, like becoming a voice for the voiceless and creating conversations. And, you know, I love when someone tells me that they thought about me when they were tried at work by a boss or a coworker, or, you know what I'm saying, amongst their friends. And they're like, you know, I thought about what you said about the ego. And that shit, that's what we do it for. It's like catching yourself from losing your shit, because it's people that are sent out every day to instill fucking negativity at you every motherfucking day. It is your duty to protect your peace right here, your house. Protect your house every day to avoid allowing that shit in, because it only can fuck with you if you allow it to. Anger is a choice response, just like happiness is a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, happiness is the way. It's not, you know, it's not the destination to the way. Happiness is not the destination to it. Happiness is the motherfucking way. Choosing to be happy and not allowing individuals to really fuck with you. Getting to love yourself by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I have to give, you know, I would say credit to doing the podcast and, you know, doing the YouTube shows, and you know what I'm saying, and having people that really are interested, you know what I'm saying, in that shit, you know, that may not have been interested before. And like I said, I'm blown away a lot of times from seeing where it started and where it's going. And I'm grateful, I'm super grateful for these opportunities that come up, the courage to speak my truth on various things. and in hopes that it inspires somebody else to speak theirs amongst themselves, whether it's for doing a podcast, whether it's for doing a YouTube show, whether it's doing TikToks, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Being able to own your shit. Somebody can use it against you. I mean, motherfuckers can talk about you all the time. But, you know, if it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like if you own your shit, what does it matter? You know what I'm saying? It's two things to remember. Either it's the truth or it's nonsense. And that's how you control the ego. Truthfully, it's Stoicism 101. Either it's the truth or it's nonsense. And you have nothing to prove to anybody. Like our egos will make it to where we feel the need to try to defend ourselves and shit like that. But you have nothing to prove to no one but yourself. Your only competition is you yesterday in this life. It's the beauty of it. So 3 events in my life that made me who I am today. The birth of my kid, my spiritual awakening, and then of course starting the podcast and the YouTube. What do you think you know a lot about, but probably don't? Life. I'm sure I'm not alone in that one. Life. I think life, I say life because one minute we think we really got this shit figured out, and then life throws a fucking curveball, and you're not ready for it, and you have no idea how you're going to respond to it when it hits. But eventually life goes on, no matter what. No matter what goes on, whether we stay stuck in the past, when we're traumatized or whatever, life will still move the fuck on. And you can really, 2 ways of living life. You can get bitter or you can get better. And I know me, throughout my life, there was a lot of times I was very bitter. I felt like the world owed me shit because I went through something painful. You know what I'm saying? It is our interpretation of what is painful. You know what I'm saying? Like what bothers us, what gets to us. And if you have this expectation for life and life shows you that I'm life and you're not in control, you then can, you can sit idle and wait like for somebody to come to your rescue and save you, which is not gonna happen. No one's coming to save you. Unless maybe you're out to sea, and even that might be a motherfucking mystery. But you can apply yourself. You can ask yourself, like try to divulge, be fascinated by life instead of being frustrated, as Jim Rohn says. Like when things happen to you, be fascinated. You're more inclined to learn about them than being frustrated. Like, why do I feel this way? You know, the common thing we say, why the fuck is this happening to me? And let's switch it to, why the fuck is this happening for me? You know what I'm saying? Get curious about why these things are happening to you. And so that you can, rise above it, if you will. I mean, if you're still alive, if you can look up, you can get up, you know, as Les Brown says. If you can look up, you can get up. He says it in a very dramatic way. But finding the courage to face yourself is one of the toughest things I believe anybody is going to ever face in their life. When you have the courage to look at yourself unapologetically, unconditionally, and love yourself for the ugly parts, love yourself for the pretty parts. Because however we treat ourselves is how we treat other people. And like if we are not accepting of ourselves, we will not accept others. But if we learn to accept ourselves, then eventually we'll learn to accept others. Because if you think a motherfucker is critical about you, you can only imagine how critical they are of themselves. You know what I'm saying? And they're just making themselves a living hell. They're living in hell because of the toxicity, because of the negativity, because of the conditional love that they give themselves, and like getting in relationships. You know, a lot of people are so in a rush to be in a relationship with someone else without even starting the relationship with themselves. And you're not going to get me to fix you, because you have to do the work yourself. And before you even think of being in a relationship with somebody, you are going to have a relationship with yourself. You are going to have to be able to be alone with yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people in relationships that are afraid to be alone, and then they project that shit onto their partner, and their partner just feels drained. And if you got like one of those people that are really, really kind, nice, I'll say nice, because kind has boundaries and, you know, and barriers and shit. Like, you know, you're not allowing motherfucker to do that. So you're with a nice individual, and they're really, really nice about allowing you to drain the fuck out of them. And eventually over time, it just kills them inside and mentally. And they just don't know when to say when. But if you work on yourself, it takes care of everybody else. Like if I'm working on me, if it's me and you, me and this lady, if I'm working on me, going to therapy, doing meditations, doing self-love and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And then she's doing the same thing. The only thing that we would need each other for is to complement each other's lives. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't need her for this. She wouldn't need me for that. And it's a beautiful thing when you have something like that. There's less unnecessary arguments. Don't get me wrong. You know, we're two different people, so of course we're going to disagree at times. But it's really learning to take care of oneself, like deal with the issues you have inside. And life will show you that shit. One minute you really think that you got life figured out. At one point in time, I'll give you an example. Let's start from being a kid. I'll never forget being a kid at Florence Bowser Elementary School in Suffolk, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Miss Carrie's class, what up, y'all? And I remember saying, I'm going to go to the NBA and play basketball. Clearly, I'm not in the NBA and wasn't on the path of it. You know, life gave me a curveball about certain things. Like, to get to the NBA, you're going to have to do all of this shit. And it was all the shit that I was not willing to do at the time. I did not have the mindset for it. Go to the Air Force. You know what I'm saying? Go to the Air Force, and you know what? I'm going to get married. I'm going into them Air Force engaged and shit like that. Puppy love bullshit. And then life hits you, and it's like, this shit is for real. This is not a game. You're dealing with somebody's heart and emotions and lifestyle and, you know, livelihood and all that stuff. And it hit me, and it's like, I don't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? You call it selfish, whatever, but I was not equipped to be married at 18. No way in hell. Looking back, I'm like, that'd have been the worst thing I did to both myself and that young lady. You know what I'm saying? That I was seeing at the time. What else? Life when you're in a relationship with someone and you really believe that this is it. You know, there's no woman that holds your favor the way that this one does, and you just see it. You know, it's just on cloud nine, if you will. And then, you know, she reveals that she doesn't want to be with you anymore. You gotta take it. You know, when you're entitled, like, you can't break up with me. I'm David Ruffin. You know, I'm like straight Temptations and shit like that. Without David Ruffin, y'all ain't nothing. You can't break up with me. But you don't realize what you're doing on the other end. You know what I mean? And life throws shit at you, and you think you got life figured out, and then throw that motherfucking curveball at you, and then you don't know what the fuck to do. You believe, and then more relationship shit. Now you really think you found the one, and then the one treats you like number 100 million billionth. You know what I'm saying? And you thought this was it. This is the life. This is you. This is how you were supposed to be treated, because you had this person that you put on such a high fucking pedestal. but it didn't pan out the way that you thought it would. Love wasn't what you thought it was. Life wasn't what you thought it was. And, you know, so I say, that's what I mean. Life, I thought I had it figured out, and I didn't. Again, being a parent, you think shit is gonna go a certain way, and then life throws a curveball at you. Engaging with your family, you think that you have this hallmark idea for how a family is supposed to be, and everybody's an individual. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody moves to the beat of their own drum. And sometimes what you want to do isn't necessarily what they want to do, and you got to accept that. Friends, same thing. You know, want to do stuff with friends, and then they show you that they don't want to do that. They feel differently than you do, and you have to accept it. And that's what I mean. Like for me with life, expectations. My own expectations is what killed me throughout my life. These expectations of life, my expectations of people. And the only person I have control over is me and my response to shit. So, yeah, you know, life has its funny way of teaching you things. And I'm grateful for every lesson that was taught to me by every person I encountered with, whether I interpret it as good or bad. It's just perspective, it's just life. And I'm grateful for my life, like nothing. I wouldn't change a fucking thing. Because you change one thing, you change everything. But I am truly grateful for what has been brought before me. And look forward to the many adventures going forward. I'm thankful for all the people that's been in my life. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be temporarily or they're still here in my life. The lessons you taught me, the lessons I've taught you, the things we've gotten through together. Bad times, good times. You know, you don't get you today without it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just learning to accept it and trust the universe. Like everything happens for the good, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Everything happens for the good. That breakup that you're, you know, so distraught about opened up the door for you to be able to work on this, whatever X is for you. So if that doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. If you don't get to that divorce, you don't get to meet that individual that just, you know, values you a hell of a lot more. You know what I'm saying? If you don't get fired from this job, you don't get to open your business. You know what I'm saying? All these things play a factor. So, what is, you know, something you thought I knew a lot about, but probably don't? Life.